What is your chance to win when you flip a coin? 50%? Wrong. Because when you divide yourself into two parts, one against the other, you already lost. Our group is now having their first Cannes Festival experience. After attending the Nice Film Market last week, where 5 of our previously nominated films with international filmmakers festivals qualified us to attend the festival for free, and spending a week at the Nice International Filmmakers Festival when 2 of our films were nominated, Sherry is now headed to Cannes to meet the distributor who selected 6 of our short films for distribution. As usual, we don't just go to France for 3 film festivals. We must do what we've always wanted to do. Check out the Yellow Jacket movement. Through Sherry's never-ending questions, the Uber driver told her that it is a Yellow Jacket movement because the government requires every motorist to carry a yellow vest with them. It is a uniform every motorist already has. So one day, one person decided to take her anger to the street, and everyone followed. Then the second Uber driver told us where and when they will appear. Saturday, 1 p.m. in front of the train station. And the hotel receptionist told me how she disliked it. It is noisy and causes traffic problems. The third Uber driver told me what it is about. He said it is not about increased gas tax, as I had previously learned from the media, but rather taking away subsidies on diesel tax, which the poor people have relied on. The nice, friendly, and very well-informed Uber driver told us that the government had been reducing the diesel gas subsidy for years, but current President Macron sped it up. For people who already had problems making ends meet, that is too much, and they got really angry. The situation is even more tense, as Macron was tied in a 3-way race during the first run of the French presidential elections. He won in the second run match between the 2 candidates with the highest votes. And he won because many people chose him so they can have chances in the government. People voted for him because they thought he can give them better lives. The protest happened almost 6 months ago. While I am surprised that people's anger did not seem to die down, and President Macron is in no danger of losing his throne, the third Uber driver asked me, why should he step down? He did not do anything wrong. When we asked why Macron wasn't pressured to resign, we were quite surprised by his answer. Because he not only speaks fluent English, he had answers to every question. The protest traffic jam would have caused a lot of trouble for him and his customers, and the taking away of the subsidy would most likely affect him. But he seemed to side with President Macron. But no matter how many random samples we took in the French street, there is no better way to search for answers than to watch the protest and interview the protesters. So, our team arrived 30 minutes before the protest. About 50 people had already gathered in front of the train station. Most of them were probably 55 years or older, and none of them spoke English. One gentleman told me to wait 15 to 30 minutes with limited English, but we knew how loud the protest could be. So we checked with every new protest, and 20 minutes into our wait, we found a gentleman who spoke perfect English and was willing to talk to us. I will share the entire interview with you, but to give you a heads up, he said they take their anger to the street because the government reduced the tax on the rich people by taking the money away from the poor people. We don't know if that is the case, but if this is a misconception, then the government should have clarified 6 months ago, instead of letting the misunderstanding reach a boiling point. And he said, people want more freedom and more democracy. But when we asked him to name a country more free and democratic than France, he could not give us an answer. Because France is indeed one of the most democratic and free countries. And because it is free, people can protest and people can demand change. So I asked him, why don't people like him run for office? He said, because we need to deal with the problems now. It is not possible nor practical for someone like him to run for office. But he felt the yellow jacket crowd will bring changes. Do I agree with him? I admire their passion and orderly protest. But I believe the protest has caused more division in France. But what can we do? France is not the only one in trouble. How many people barely making ends meet may go to the street next time when their lives may be affected? And I don't agree with him when he said it takes too long to run for office to change politics. Because in a free society, your vote is your voice. If people want to change, the person with the right idea can start making changes for the better if he or she is on the side of the people. This is Ken Peters. Thank you for watching.
I know the Yellow Jacket movement has been for a while.
Yep.
Almost 6 months.
Indeed.
Yeah. Have you started from the beginning?
Myself personally, no, because at first there was a lot of disinformation from the mainstream media here in France. They said that the Yellow Vests were anti-Semites, they said they were racist, voting for the extreme right, and none of this is actually true. There are some people who are in the extreme right and who, are racist, of course, but like in any population, basically, I want to say. So the movement is not like that at all, and it took me a while to realize that and to really get to the core of what this movement is about. And that's why it took me a few months, but mainly because of the disinformation from the mainstream media.
So what is it about?
It's about having more democracy, meaning right now we have a president who was elected with a really, really small amount of the votes, because a lot of people don't vote in France because they're disillusioned by the voting system and the elective representative democracy. We are starting to consider that it's not real democracy. When you elect someone, then you give them the keys and they get to do whatever they want with the country for 5 years. And now we can't say anything about it. He's been selling airports, now they want to sell I don't know how to say that in English. Making water making electricity with water. They want to sell those things. So we don't agree with that. We don't agree with everything in France being sold, everything that has been paid by our taxes being sold to private interests, and we can't do anything about it right now. So we want more democracy. We want to be able to say no, we don't want that, and to be able to vote, have a referendum on anything, even maybe a referendum to oust the current president because we don't like his politics, which we would like to do. So we would like this current president to be out of office, but we don't want him to be replaced just by anybody, because that would just perpetuate this cycle of them being just a puppet for the financial world and doing the same thing. So we want more democracy regarding that, and we want more social justice, because in France and all around the world, we see that hugely, like insanely rich people keep getting richer and richer, while poor people get poorer and poorer. And we have people even in France, which is the 5th richest country in the world, if I'm not mistaken, we have people dying on the street because they are poor, they can't feed themselves or their children, while some other people get insanely rich, and we want more social justice. So those are the two main things that we fight for.
Okay, well, a couple of questions. Do you think your view represents the majority of the protesters, or it's just your personal? Because some people are here for the diesel tax, some people are angry because the immigration.
Right.
Do you think you're a good representation of the protesters?
There are a lot of things that we want among the Gilets jaunes protest and movement. But these are like the key points that everybody mostly agrees on. The immigration point, I think it's a minority of people who really, are advocating more regulation concerning that. The tax on diesel, this is what started it, but it's just a symptom of a lot of taxes being put on the lower classes, while you have tax reduction for the richest. So we ask poor people to pay more and more, while we ask rich people to pay less and less, and this is totally unfair. And that's why it's the diesel tax that started it all. But it didn't stay confined to only that point. It grew larger, and this point only represents this lack of social justice.
I have to ask, have you ever lived in other countries other than France before?
Actually, I'm Belgian.
Oh, okay.
So I was born in Belgium, and I moved to France about 10 years ago. So I consider, I've been living here, I've been working here, I've been, participating in the economy, etc. And
well,
I'm welcomed by everybody.
The reason I asked is I'm from America, and I was born in Taiwan. So I have to say, about freedom, France is a very free country compared with the rest of the world.
Of course.
So if you have never lived before, then maybe you have no comparison. But you did live in Belgium. So do you think Belgium is more free of these problems?
It's about the same. It's about the same, except now we have in France a president that really he's picking up speed on all of this. He's like putting it's the same politics as the presidents before, but he's doing it so fast that now everybody notices what's going on. Before, people were lulled into complacency, and they didn't realize, oh, this thing happened. Okay, but now that it's boom, 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 the airport's this, then people are really taking notice of what's happening.
But I thought...
And regarding what you said, for comparison with other countries, I think, France is pretty good regarding to freedom, etc. But when you see the police repression that we've been facing since the start of the government, it's not going in the right direction. It's going in the wrong direction, and we're starting to fear for our liberties, for freedom.
So I have to ask you, are you concerned the direction the French government is going? Do you think it's going to the wrong direction?
Oh, absolutely. It's becoming a police state. People get arrested without any reason. Even the police got directives, got orders to arrest people before they even can reach protests. So it appears as if our numbers are dwindling, which is not true at all. They just want to have, the TV showing less gilets jaunes in the street, less yellow vests in the street. They just want to show these images so people think, oh, these are a minority of people who are not happy with the government, but it's not a minority of the people. Maybe not everybody comes out in the streets, but a lot of people support us, even if they stay at home, if they have to work during Saturdays and they cannot come to the protests. But to go back to your question about comparing with other countries, my position about this is we shouldn't look at countries where it's worse. We should lead the way. We should be maybe the first country to change the democratic system, to have a real direct democracy. Maybe, I think we should lead the way and maybe show other countries that this is possible. You managed to do it, so you should do it too.
So I have to ask you, which country is better than France? You have to tell me which one is better.
I don't know. I haven't made a comparison, and without having lived in many countries, I don't think I can say that.
I try to put a comparison between this and the French Revolution. It also started with protests. Do you think the protest is at the end, or it's going to grow bigger?
It's going to get bigger because the government is not answering our calls. They're not putting in place, they pretended to have this great or big debate, and then everything that he said after that was, Okay, so I heard that you're not pleased with what I've been doing. So I've been asking myself the question, was I wrong? I think not, so we're gonna do the same.
I thought he changed
So, obviously,
17.
he's not listening.
I thought he changed the 17 things already. Like I was searching, like he already made to 17
He
changes.
gave us crumbs. He gave us crumbs, thinking, oh, maybe that will put them to sleep and they will go away. But like it's the core of his policies that we're
How about the
questioning.
president before? Was he better?
He was a bit better in the sense that he didn't do it as fast. He didn't implement all those changes in the wrong direction. So it's better for companies, but it's worse for people.
Well, you know.